Hey guys, today we step inside a place where time ticks to the rhythm of tides, where your only neighbor might be a storm, and where every day starts with a whisper of wind and ends with the weight of an ocean. Tonight, we're climbing the narrow, echoing stairs of a 19th century lighthouse. You're the keeper now, the one responsible for lighting the coast and guarding the night. Just you, the sea, and the slow burn of isolation. You probably won't survive this, unless you like damp socks, cold beans, and the smell of whale oil in your nostrils 24/7. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And drop your location and the current time in the comments. I always read them. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your eyelids peel open to the sound of waves slapping stone. It's not a gentle sound. It's rhythmic, yes, but there's a force behind it. A reminder that the sea does not care about your comfort. Outside, a foghorn wails once like a lost soul. Inside, your bones ache before you even sit up. The bed's not much. Thin straw ticking, wool blanket rougher than a sheep's attitude, and a stone wall that radiates cold like it's getting paid. There's no snooze button, just duty. You swing your legs over the side, bare feet hitting the flagstone floor. It's always damp. Always. You shuffle to the window and wipe away the condensation with your sleeve. Gray. Just gray. Sea and sky and nothing in between. A gull screams like it's laughing at your choices. In the kitchen, there's no fridge, no microwave, just a blackened iron stove that sighs when you feed it peat or driftwood. You fumble with flint and steel, fingers clumsy from the cold. Sparks catch. The fire takes. The room slowly warms. Not much, but enough to thaw your joints. Tea? Sure, if you like it weak, metallic, and served in a dented tin mug. You sip as you stare out at the Atlantic, wondering if today's the day you'll finally see another face. Spoiler alert, probably not. Your first job is the logbook. You sit at a heavy wooden desk bolted to the floor because storms like to redecorate. Open the cover. Inky pen poised. Today's date. Wind direction. Tide chart. Visibility. Poor. Always poor. By the mid-1800s, lighthouses like yours were run by organizations like Trinity House in the UK, or the US Lighthouse Board across the pond. Hundreds of beacons dotted coastlines, each manned by someone like you. Part engineer, part janitor, part hermit. You glance at the brass timepiece on the wall. Still ticking. Good. You polish it anyway, because cleanliness is next to survival. Now it's time for the walk up the tower. You climb the spiral staircase, 57 stone steps, each one colder than regret. At the top, you unlock the lantern room. The Fresnel lens, a marvel of engineering from 1822, greets you with its dazzling concentric rings. You gently wipe it with linen cloth, moving in slow, sacred arcs. It must be spotless. Any smudge, any soot, and light could scatter in the wrong way. Ships rely on this. Lives rely on this. You exhale on the glass. Polish again. Fun fact? Some keepers swore that prolonged exposure to the lantern's oil fumes slowed their beard growth. One guy even charted it. Science? Maybe. Madness? Definitely. After lens duty, you descend again. Breakfast is calling. Oats if you're lucky, salted pork if you're desperate. Most days, it's bread hard enough to hammer nails with, and coffee brewed from roasted acorns. You chew, not eat. You survive. There's no radio, no clock chimes, just your own rhythm. You step outside into the salt-smeared wind to check the structure. The catwalk railing is still secure. A piece of the wooden boathouse roof needs patching. Again, you make a note. The chickens are yelling at you from the coop, demanding attention. You toss them feed, muttering that they have better social lives than you. At some point, you yell at the seal who keeps stealing your fish bucket. His name's Gregory now. It's a complicated relationship. Everything must be inspected, maintained, logged. If something fails, there's no backup team, just you, a toolkit, and hopefully enough daylight to fix it. And if the supply ship doesn't arrive this week, well, you hope Gregory's not stringy. Historians still argue whether Lighthouse isolation increased madness or simply revealed it. Maybe both. You've started naming the waves by size and mood. Big cranky one? That's Matilda. Small but mean. Kevin. Mid-morning now. You wind the clock mechanism that turns the light at night. Massive iron weights on chains, cranked by hand. You swear your right arm is twice as strong as your left. Sometimes you sing sea shanties just to hear a voice bounce back. You'd swear the echo knows all the words. You pause for a moment, leaning against the wall. Outside, gulls wheel in the air like wind-up toys. The fog starts to lift. A ship? Maybe. You grab your spyglass. Just a fishing boat. Still, it breaks the monotony like a surprise birthday card from someone you forgot existed. Time for cleaning again. Brass knobs, door hinges, lantern handles. The lighthouse must be immaculate. A clean station means a clean conscience, and a clean conscience means you sleep better, even if you're not entirely sure which century it is anymore. You head back to your quarters, sit at the desk, reopen the logbook. Write. 10:04 a.m. Visibility improving. One fishing vessel eastward. Gregory observed. Stealing bucket again. Weather. Cold. Salty. Redundant. You close the book. Breathe deep. The room smells of oil, salt, metal, and something vaguely like old cabbage. You shrug. It's almost noon, and guess what? It's time to climb those stairs again. You climb. Again. 57 steps, each now more familiar than your own handwriting. You could walk them blindfolded, and honestly, you probably have. The iron railing squeaks under your hand. The narrow slit windows show the sea in slices. You reach the lantern room. The light isn't lit yet, but the lens gleams like an enormous glass eye, silently judging you. You do the hourly visual check. Horizon clear, no obvious vessels, waves a bit choppier. The wind's picked up. It does that, like a moody roommate. You rotate the lens gently by hand to test the gears. Smooth, thank goodness. You oil a few hinges anyway, because that's your job. Maintain perfection, so nothing breaks during a storm when fixing it would be a death sentence. Then you spot it. A dark shape, distant, a blip against the gray seam of sea and sky. Supply boat? Maybe. It's small, angled wrong for approach. But still, you watch. Anything out there feels like a message in a bottle, even if it's just someone else's barnacle-encrusted fishing boat. You scribble in your leather-bound log. 11:47 a.m. Vessel sighted. Unidentified. Moving westward. Wind. Sharp. Inland. Back downstairs. Lunch prep. Now let's set expectations correctly. Lunch is generous. It's a slab of brown bread that could substitute for a paving stone. You break it with the handle of your boot knife. The fish from yesterday, salted to the point of fossilization, gets thrown into a pan with whatever root vegetables haven't gone soft. You sip more weak tea. If you're feeling wild, maybe a single boiled egg. Feast mode. You sit by the stove, legs stretched out, steam rising from the kettle. The seagulls are still yelling outside. You wonder what it's like to be a seagull. They scream, they steal, they never write anything down. Honestly, kind of admirable. You pull out a weather log. Barometric pressure holding steady. Cloud cover, moderate. Humidity, 100%, as always. You dip your pen, careful not to blot. It's said lighthouse keepers had the most meticulous handwriting of any profession. Some even developed styles so neat they were used as models in calligraphy books. Why? Because writing was the only mirror for your mind. Back to the tower for another lens inspection. No fingerprints, no dust. You whisper a thank you to the engineer who designed the Fresnel lens. Augustin Jean Fresnel, if you want to get fancy about it. His design, first used in 1822, made your job infinitely more doable. Instead of dim, messy lights barely cutting through fog, now ships could see your beam for 20 miles. 20! That's the difference between tragedy and a safe port. And yes, you do talk to the lens sometimes. Don't judge. It's prettier than most people you knew back in the village. You check the winding weights again. Rewind the crank. Feel the satisfying click as it locks into place. Downstairs, you hear something. A horn. Distant. The boat's here. You throw on your coat, a heavy oilskin that always smells faintly of dead fish and pipe smoke, and head out. The supply crew doesn't dock long. They toss a crate from the boat to the dock like a carnival game. You wave. They wave. No one says anything. The sea eats all sound. You drag the crate back. Inside, kerosene tins, sealed tins of ham, potatoes, a sack of flour, and, miracle of miracles, a letter. From your brother. You tear it open with fingers that suddenly don't shake from cold, but anticipation. It's 4 weeks old. He writes about a cow that got loose, a neighbor's scandalously short fence, and a new baby on the way. You read it 3 times. Then you tuck it inside your woolen undershirt and walk a little straighter for the rest of the day. Sometimes, keepers got creative with their animal companions. You once heard of a Scottish lighthouse keeper who trained a goat to carry his toolbox up the stairs. Another allegedly taught his parrot to mimic foghorns. Yours. You have Gregory the fish-stealing seal. You've made peace with that. And historians still argue whether keepers' meticulous journals were objective logs or elaborate coping mechanisms. Looking at your last few entries, where you rated wave personalities and ranked which gulls are most judgmental, you're starting to lean toward the latter. Afternoon is slow. You sharpen tools. Oil the hinges on the cabinet you already fixed yesterday. Then you prep the lamp oil. You measure it like it's gold, because it kind of is. If you spill too much, that's a problem. Not because of waste, but because it means carrying the reserve tin up those 57 steps. Again, you think about how automated lighthouses will probably replace you someday. Machines with no feelings, no aching knees, no need for tea or long letters. You try to feel angry, but mostly, you just feel tired. The sun moves lower in the sky. Your shadow stretches across the wall like a long, sad lighthouse ghost. Time for another inspection. You sigh. You climb. You wonder if anyone on the mainland thinks about you. Do they look out at the blinking light on the coast and feel anything? Gratitude, mystery, pity? Probably not. But you do your job anyway, because the ships are watching. And if you miss just one turn of the crank, one lens cleaning, one lantern trim, someone else doesn't go home. You climb back down just in time to swat Gregory away from your dinner bucket. Afternoon, or what passes for it, when the sun's doing that shy thing behind heavy clouds, turning everything a moody pewter gray. The wind's louder now, no longer background ambiance, but a guest that insists on making itself known. You step outside to check the grounds and instantly regret it. Wind slaps your face with ocean spray and the cold sting of responsibility. The shingles on the storage shed have loosened. Again. That roof has beef with you personally. You dig out the hammer and nails, clench them between your teeth like some kind of angry waterlogged pirate, and climb up. Your boots slip once. You say a word that's definitely not Lighthouse Keeper approved. And you pound in the nails with quick, nervous jabs. Wind whistles through the planks. Somewhere behind you, a gull laughs. Probably Kevin. By the time you're back on solid ground, you're soaked from the waist down. Your sleeves are stiff with brine, and your temper is hovering somewhere around haunted scarecrow. You head back inside. Your hands ache. You hang your coat over the stove, wring out your socks, and mutter vague threats at the sky. Then the barometer dips. Not a gentle dip, a nosedive. That little glass dial goes from brisk breeze to batten down your entire existence in half an hour. You know what that means. Storm's coming. Fast. You shuffle around the tower in high gear. Check the window latches. Bolt the outer doors. Move the food crates to higher shelves. Double-check the lamp oil, wicks, lens rotation gears, and crank weights. Your heartbeat thumps in time with your boots. Then you do the weirdest thing yet. You talk to the lighthouse. Just a quiet word. Maybe two. Hold steady. It creaks back, like it's been doing this far longer than you and will keep doing it long after. You sit for a second, breathing hard. The sky's almost black now. You can hear the storm building, deep, slow roars rolling in from offshore like a giant clearing its throat. You glance toward your well-worn copy of Moby Dick and decide, yes, today's the kind of day you read aloud to the lamp just to keep your own voice company. You open to your favorite passage, for there is no folly of the beast of the earth which is not infinitely outdone by the madness of man. You chuckle dryly. Seems accurate. Waves slam against the rocks outside. Thunder rolls. The whole tower sways a little, not dangerously, just enough to remind you that you are living on the edge of everything. Literally. You grab a tin of soup, heat it on the stove, and eat while standing. Your fork rattles every time the wind hits just right. You try to focus on chewing. Warm food, warm body. Less risk of crying over minor inconveniences, like walls vibrating and floors breathing. You take another look outside. Visibility? Laughable. Fog? Sentient. You grab the signal flags. No one's likely out there, but if they are, they'll want to know what's ahead. You lean out the window with a line tied to your waist, your hands numbing instantly, and raise the storm signal. Semaphore would be useless in this mess, but it's the gesture that counts. And, in truth, the gesture is often all you've got. You return inside and light the smaller lamp in the parlor. Soft glow, flickering shadows. You sit in the chair that groans just like the tower does and stare at the flames dancing in the stove. Historians still argue whether lighthouse designs prioritized function or just looked cool on 19th century postcards. You laugh under your breath. Postcards. Like anyone would voluntarily come here. You pull down your small sketchbook. It's full of doodles, nothing serious. Mostly ships, birds, a self-portrait where you look like a tragic potato in a sou'wester hat. And then there's them, the whales. You've drawn dozens of them, massive black arcs breaking through imaginary waves, tails twisting, eyes suspiciously human. You name them too. Sir Glistensnout, Madam Bubbletail, Captain Jonah Jr. You've invented a society of whales who probably write better diaries than you do. It helps. You sit there a while longer, wrapped in your blanket, sketching, listening. The storm ramps up. Wind howls around the tower. Rain lashes the glass. Somewhere below, the tide smashes against the seawall with a thud that rattles your molars. You try to focus on the good things. The beam still works. The lens is clear. The food stores are, mostly, dry. Gregory has finally stopped slapping things with his flippers outside the back door. There's always that. You make another pass through the station, lantern in hand. You inspect the stairs for leaks. Just a small drip on step 33. Add it to the list. You glance out toward the sea. Nothing. Just a void, alive with whitecaps and fury. If there's a ship out there, they'll be glad your light's on. You hope they see it. You hope someone sees it. You make a note in the log. 4:13 p.m. Barometer low. Storm level 3. Visibility nil. Lantern integrity good. Emotional state mildly concerned, which is a lighthouse keeper way of saying, I'm hanging on by a salted thread. The day stretches on. You read, you write, you pace, you open a tin of peaches and eat them with a fork you heated on the stove just for fun. Hot peaches, weirdly comforting. The walls creak like a tall ship in a gale, and you wait, and you, because that's what lighthouse keepers do. You wait through storms, through years, through letters that don't come, through long afternoons filled with nothing but the sound of your own breath and the occasional scream of a bird who sounds way too human for comfort. You wait for the next inspection, for the next crank of the gear, for the next chance to matter. And somewhere inside that rhythm, between the howling wind and the flicker of the flame, you begin to feel something dangerously close to peace. The light must come on before the darkness wins. You know this rule like you know your own heartbeat. It's not negotiable. Ships don't care that you're tired or that the storm has wrung you out like an old mop. All that matters is that beacon, the rotating heart of the tower. You glance out the window again. Sunset? It's more of a suggestion, just the gray turning a darker shade of gray. But the clock tells you what your bones already know. It's time. You gather your supplies, trimmed wick, fresh kerosene, backup matchbook, linen cloth, winding crank. Each item feels sacred in your hands. No distractions, no mistakes. You climb, one slow step at a time, the way priests ascend altars. At the top, the lantern room feels alive. Even before the light burns, there's a strange tension, like it knows its moment is near. You clean the last traces of soot from the lens. One final wipe. Perfect. You fill the reservoir, slide the wick into place, light the flame. It catches instantly, roaring to life in a contained, concentrated bloom of gold. The Fresnel lens bends it, stretches it, flings it outward into the storm-soaked horizon like a divine middle finger to the abyss. You watch it rotate, smooth, steady, hypnotic. You're safe for now. Downstairs, the tower hums faintly. You wind the mechanism again. The massive counterweights creak into position, ready to keep the beacon spinning for another few hours. You've done it so many times, your hands don't even think anymore. They just know. You pause by the window. Lightning forks over the sea just for a second. You count. 1, 2, 3. Then thunder answers. Not close, not far. That weird in-between that keeps your shoulders tense. Dinner is crackers and cheese that smells like it has personal opinions. You don't argue. You just eat. You log the time. The lamp is holding. Visibility still trash. But you did your part. Now comes the longest stretch. Night vigil. You sit by the stove, wrapped in your old wool blanket. The light ticks above. You listen for ships, foghorns, anything that might say, you're not alone. But mostly, there's silence. Except for the voices. No, not literal ones. You're not that far gone. But the brain is funny in the dark. It loops, repeats, invents. You start remembering the things you don't want to, the people you left behind, the things you didn't say, the dreams you forgot to chase because this tower needed you. And then, just to make things spicy, you remember the stories. Every keeper hears them, passed down like bad soup recipes. There's the tale of the woman in white seen walking the stairs at night. Only, no one's ever stationed with a woman. There's the one about the storm that came without wind, just screams. The one about the light that turned off during a full moon, all by itself. That one makes your skin itch. You shrug it off. Probably. But still. You glance at the staircase more often now. You open your diary, not the logbook, the personal one you keep hidden behind the flour tin. You write whatever nonsense tumbles out of your sea-soaked brain. Gregory appeared again, looked smug, thought about inventing seal-based currency. You snort softly. Even your jokes have gone damp. Historians still argue whether lighthouse life was noble sacrifice or quiet punishment. You lean back and stare at the ceiling. It's probably both. But who else would do it? The job requires someone willing to be forgotten, to keep going without applause. Someone willing to light the way and never be seen. You rise again. Check the lamp. The light is steady, still turning. The sea, however, is not. The storm is back, stronger. The windows rattle in their frames. You hear water slap the foundation, the kind of sound that makes you want to be upstairs, watching it, even though there's nothing you could do. You wrap your coat around you, grab the lantern, and climb. Again. Always climbing. The lantern room is blinding compared to downstairs. You blink hard. The light rotates on time, lens free of fog. Still, you clean it again, just to be sure. Then, outside, movement. You freeze. A figure? No. Just the reflection of your own lantern dancing on wet glass. You let out a slow breath, but your pulse keeps racing like it knows something you don't. You head down again, past the halfway mark when the whisper happens. Just the wind, probably. But it sounded like a word. You don't stop, don't look back, just descend. Slowly, carefully, boots hitting stone in measured beats. At the bottom, You close the trapdoor behind you and latch it, a little faster than necessary. You sit at the desk and laugh, soft and tired. You're the one who logs hallucinations for fun, and now the storm's just trying to join the cast. You write in your real log, 9:12 p.m., storm increased. Lantern stable, no incidents, except the usual ghosts. Your tea's cold now, your fingers too. You feed the stove, add a piece of driftwood you carved into a vaguely whale-like shape. Call it Sir Splinter. Watch it burn. You miss the mainland sometimes. Miss the sound of horses, people arguing over things that don't matter. Even miss the stink of city streets. But mostly, you miss the idea that someone might ask you how your day was. You stretch out on the bench by the wall, hands folded over your chest, boots still on. You close your eyes for a second, just a second. The tower creaks, the light turns, the storm rages, and still, you keep watch. Because someone has to. Midnight, or thereabouts. Time loses meaning in the dark. Your body knows only rhythm now, the slow pulse of the lamp, the measured drag of the crank every few hours, the tug of fatigue wrapped around your bones like kelp. You check the mechanism again. The lantern still spins, its light slicing through the thick air in perfect, glowing arcs. One mistake, just one, and the gears could jam, ships could crash, lives could vanish. So you don't let it happen. You wind the chain again, slow and steady. It groans softly, like it too, is tired of the job but understands its necessity. You sit on the stool by the high window. The sea is louder at night, not angrier, just more opinionated. It pushes against the rocks with a constant thrum, like it's asking, "Why are you still here?" You ask yourself the same thing sometimes. There's something about the stillness of this hour. You're not sleepy, just suspended, like a ghost keeping watch over a coast that may not even remember you. You walk the tower again, slowly. No rush now. Every echo of your footsteps sounds like a heartbeat. Yours, the tower's, who knows? You pause by the lower window. Fog creeps along the rocks like spilled milk. Somewhere far off, a bell buoy clangs, irregular, plaintive. You wonder who else hears it. A ship's captain? A dock worker? Someone sitting by a window, counting blinks from your tower like prayers? You warm your hands over the stove, now just embers and whispers. You flip through your journal again, pages filled with ink and madness and truth. 2:11 a.m. Gregory absent. Unusual. Storm past. Moon visible. Emotional state. Floating. You lean back. The tower sways slightly in a gust. Not dangerous. Just alive. Some keepers danced alone to stay awake, waltzing with the shadows cast by their own lanterns. You get it now. You stand, stretch, put on a record in your mind and step softly across the floorboards. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just you and the echoes. And maybe a ghost who appreciates good form. The hours stretch long. Dawn is a promise, not a presence. Still, you watch. Still you wait. And eventually you're rewarded. The darkness lifts. Not suddenly, but like it's being exhaled. The horizon blushes faint pink. A smear of lavender above the waves. The sea calms like a child asleep after a tantrum. You check the light, still burning. You've made it through the night again. You crank the mechanism one last time. Not because it needs it, because it's ritual now. You clean the lantern one final time for the shift. You write the last entry before sunrise. 4:44 a.m. Light operation successful. No incidents. Emotional state. Tired, proud, and oddly poetic. You sit in the chair, your blanket over your shoulders. The stove flickers faintly. The gulls haven't started screaming yet. It's quiet, and you're still here, still watching, still glowing. The sea softens, its rage spent. The waves now lap gently at the base of your world, like a cat curling at your feet. Your eyes sting from the long night, but you don't close them yet. Not until the light fades and the sky reclaims its color. The lantern sputters, then dims. The gears wind down with a final metallic sigh. You wrap the blanket tighter, the wool scratchy but comforting, and lean your head against the cool stone wall. The sun peeks over the horizon, casting gold across the glass. The light in the tower, your light, goes still. And for the first time in hours, you exhale fully. You are part of this rhythm now. The breathing of the sea. The quiet pride in an unseen duty. The light that cuts through the dark, then rests. Let the waves rock you. Let the wind hum lullabies through the tower. Let the sky blush blue. You're off duty now. Close your eyes. You've earned this quiet. Sleep, keeper, sleep.